Are you ready? Hey, think you can tell us what to do?
Welcome, ladies and gents, to the PWC podcast. I'm your host, your mother's favorite podcaster, Vasily, and I'll be taking care of you guys for the AEW review show. And we're reviewing Road Rager. That's right, it is Road Rager, an episode of AEW Dynamite, their first live show on the road, taking place in Miami. And it was a good show, don't get me wrong, very good show. A lot of typical AEW aspects to the thing, but of course it has to be, it's AEW, that's what they do. We had, of course, the main event was a street fight between Eddie Kingston and Penta El Zero versus, of course, the Young Bucks for the AEW Tag Team Championship. The longest reigning AEW champions in history, the Young Bucks. Surprise, surprise. We also had a South Beach strap match with Cody Rhodes going against QT Marshall. And then we also had the first ever AEW mixed match tag team match, which are all coming up in the review. So stick around. If you haven't done so already, please down below click subscribe and get notified so you get up-to-date videos of what's happening in PWC. We've got reviews, we've got lists, we've got everything. It's going to be a great one. Please, guys, stick around for that and click subscribe and the notification button. Right, so we kicked off Road Rager with the first matchup. It started straight up there. We got Cody Rhodes going against QT Marshall in a South Beach strap match. And first of all, let me just say this. The strap match was a hell of a lot better than what Raw did a couple of weeks ago with Ryder and Elias. This is what a strap match should be like. But of course, it is AEW, so blading has to take place. We got a bloody QT Marshall coming out there. A couple of distractions in and between. It was fantastic to watch. A really good match in general. We even had a little bit of a tease, which we're coming up to a bit later on. The lights went out for a few seconds. Everybody was confused. Even JR was like, oh, sorry, guys. We've been having a bit of light problems. You know, first day back on the road, clinking out the clicks, which was really cleverly done. I liked that sort of concept. Of course, strap matches, as is tradition, you're won by touching all four corners of the ring post, not a pinfall or submission like other companies do it. However, I must say, Cody Rhodes and his golden shovel are back. And, man, I don't understand it, to be honest. I don't understand why have this long-term feud with all these guys and not get them over. They haven't had any stand-up moments. Like, I watched this match and all I can think about in this match was just Cody Rhodes. If you're honestly, in about a week or two time, I'll probably forget this match even happened because Cody's gone off to bury somebody else. I know it's sad to think, but it happens. Unfortunately, Cody Rhodes has that golden shovel, and it's just the way it is at the moment with AEW and the Nightmare Family. Again, probably a match I'll forget in about 2-3 weeks. But on that being said, it was one of the better strap matches in recent history. So that's always a plus for AEW. We then press on a little bit ahead, and we got the Impact AEW champion, every other champion, AAA champion, whatever champion he is in that of the sun. If there's a heavyweight title that's not WWE owned, this man probably has that belt around his waist. It is Kenny Omega, and Tony Schiavone called him out and was going to interview Kenny Omega. Don Callis came out as well, because of course you got to have Don Callis when you have Kenny Omega. Came out and he was like, listen, Schiavone, we don't need you, I can do this. And basically just ridiculed the crowd. It was fantastic. The heat from the crowd was great. And this is what we want from a good heel in the likes of Kenny Omega and Don Callis. They basically ran off and said how many people that he's defeated. Jungle Boy's defeated. John Moxley's defeated. Jericho's defeated. He's defeated everybody in AEW. And there is no one worthy to challenge Kenny Omega for the title. We then got the Dark Order to come out, and they basically said, listen, You're forgetting about somebody. You're forgetting about our very good friend. And before they could say anything, Kenny Omega took it, basically mocked the hell out of the entire Dark Order, really. Knocked them out, started brawling. And then Adam Page music hit. And we went mad. It's the craziest I've heard the crowd get in a long time. I loved it. Adam Page came out, set the record straight, had a stare down with Kenny Omega. It was beautiful to watch. Beautiful to watch. And before we could get to a proper little finish of that altercation, Omega grabs his title and sneaks out like the little squirming duck that he is. And then, of course, not before that, we had Page destroying the Good Brothers as well. It was great to watch, which then sets up, I'm pretty sure we're going to get at Fyter Fest, probably night 2, we're going to get Adam Page taking on Kenny Omega for the AEW title. And that is something that we've been waiting for probably 2 years, and when this arc is finally coming full circle, and it's something I am personally excited for. I'm glad it's finally going to be taking place. Hopefully, hasn't been announced, hopefully at Fyter Fest Day, or Night 2 rather. And then from Kenny Omega, we had a backstage interview with JR, Ethan Page, and Darby Allin. To be honest, it was a really unnecessary interview. We basically got told the story again. Ethan is obviously a little bit jealous of Darby. Darby's a little bit jealous of Ethan because Darby made it to AEW in 1 year. Ethan took 12 years. I don't know. It's a very convoluted story. And one, to be honest, it doesn't make much sense to me. But again, it happened. So not much else I can say about that. It was all right. Nothing to talk home about, you know what I mean? But then we got some more in-ring action. It was Inner Circle taking on the Pinnacle. For Inner Circle, we had Ortiz and Santana with Jake Hager in their corner, as well as then they went against FTR and Warlord. Of course, Tully and Conan at ringside as well. Honestly, the commercial break hurt this match a lot. It took out a lot of the action in AEW. We got to miss a bulk of the match. And really, the only thing I could really say about this match is Warlord and Jake Hager looked really strong. The other two looked as good as ever. The finish was a bit screwy, having Tully with a distraction, and then, I don't know, and then Conan coming in, hitting him with the ball sock thing. And it was just weird. And I get the story that it's building up for another Pinnacle versus Golden Inner Circle match, but honestly, I don't know. I feel like this feud should have been done and dusted at Blood and Guts already. I don't feel like we needed more and more matches. But that being said, coming up a little bit later, we had the face-off between MJF and Chris Jericho, which we'll get to that in a bit. But yeah, this match in general felt like something we have watched about 300 times already. Even though it's probably one of the first times we've seen these 6 together, it still felt a very old match, if that makes sense. It didn't feel like anything new has happened in this rivalry. Unfortunately for them, it did bring the show down just a tad. And then, like I mentioned, we get to Chris Jericho versus MJF, the face-off. Basically, it was another, stick spiel of exactly what happens between Chris Jericho and MJF. It was electric. It was fun. The two have such good chemistry on the mics. It's phenomenal to watch. Yes, we had a bit of an intruder, and that was great to see how the two athletes picked that up, calling him a fat bastard and trying to get him out of the ring. It was great to watch that. So basically, we got the face-off. It was MJF and Chris Jericho. MJF admitting to everything that he likes about Chris Jericho, and he even looked up to Chris Jericho. But if Chris Jericho wants another shot, since he's 2-0 against MJF, he's got to go through a couple of labors, calling him the labors of Chris Jericho, pulling on Greek mythology there. Jericho responded by, dissing his mom and accepting the labors. Of course, MJF said you need to shake hands because in New York you shake hands, unlike Miami people. Shook his hand and then hit him out with a Judas effect. It was great little build-up. It got to the point of exactly what has happened. Chris Jericho wants revenge. MJF says he's not worthy. He's lost twice already. So this might be the final segment in this feud, which we're hoping for. A huge mention, though, to the crowd, because they really made this this segment feel a little bit more powerful. The fact that they came out singing in full chorus to Judas was great. And it's that feeling that we've all missed in pro wrestling. As fans who watch it on TV or as fans inside the stadium, we love to hear the crowd get behind the wrestlers and sing and chant. It was great. We had another moment a little bit later as well that, the crowd, it made a huge difference to wrestling. And that's what we loved to see, especially when it came to a live audience. And this audience helped. It helped Chris Jericho and MJF a lot to get over their their points as well of what they wanted to do during this promo. And then we moved on to the in-ring debut of Andrade El Idolo. He was going against Matt Sindel. It was a good hype to the match. Let me put that. It was a good hype to the match. We got the debut of someone that we've been waiting for a while. We've had a couple of promos from him, but we've never had him in the ring in AEW. He looked sharp. He looked clean. Matt Sindel probably was the best opponent for him to come into this ring. And the two of them had instant chemistry. It was a good match overall. However, it did feel like they were doing too much too quickly. I don't think they were given enough time to really let this match flow and get into the thing. I think it was like about a 15-minute match, if that, maybe even about 10 minutes. It felt very rushed and very quick. And obviously El Idolo got his victory, which is what you wanted to see in this match. But I don't know, it felt like it could have been better for a debut. We know Vicky Guerrero's other client, Naylor Rose, is on the rise. So it could have just been a help to get El Idolo back there as well. It felt a bit flat, to be honest, with everybody here. I don't know. I expected a little bit more. I expected more time. I think the two of them can put on a 5-star match if given more time. And I'm hoping to see that this continues going forward, because I think it could be a 5-star match easily. These guys, they brought the house down. Now it was time for the first mixed match challenge or match, whatever you want to call them, in AEW history. And we saw the team of Orange Cassidy and Chris Standler taking on The Blade and The Bunny. It was, like, as mixed matches go, I always find them a little bit iffy. I want to see a male and a female go on against each other. I want to see those dynamics, if they're going to put them in, use them. Don't have this where if the female tags in, then the females must wrestle and that sort of concept. And AEW did blur the lines a little bit in this match. However, it still felt like a typical mixed match. There's not much to talk about this match at all, really. I'm a big fan of Orange Cassidy. I think his style and I know Jim Cornette hates him. He says he's a disgrace to wrestling. But I think it's great. I think it brings a new crowd dynamic to this match. And maybe during they didn't have crowds, it didn't feel that great. But with the crowds, it has felt the crowd popped to whatever he did. I mean, he did the little shin kick thing and the crowd went ballistic. It's that sort of wrestling. It's the fact that he does a parody of what wrestling should actually be, which is what I think a lot of people like about Orange Cassidy. As for the ladies, Bunny has been fantastic in AEW. Unfortunately, their women's division is not as good as it should be. And the fact that guys like Chris Standler and Bunny need to rely on Blade and Cassidy to try and help them get over is a big worry to AEW, I personally think. But yeah, I think in all, it was a fun match. It was a decent match. The result might have not been particularly happy for everybody, but in the circumstances as it went, it was great. Again, I'm not a fan of tag team wrestling, and this felt very, very generic tag team wrestling. And then we move on just before the main event. We had Sharon calling out on Addison, and he was going to have a promo or something. He was saying, listen, Cody had a good one in the opening match. Brock had his first win, his son, and yeah, tell me what you think. So he just came out and said, well, let me just get straight to it. The lights cut out. It went dark. JR was putting on the fact that they've been having lighting problems, only the fact that they only had lighting problems in one match, which was the Cody Rhodes match. They haven't had anything else since that point. Went completely black. Wham, bam, lights come on. Who's standing in the ring? They don't know. They don't know who's standing in the ring. Oh my gosh. Until, of course, Excalibur realized, oh wait, that's Tommy End. It is Tommy End in All Elite Wrestling, except he was corrected. He's not known as Tommy End anymore. He is now called Malachi Black and hit on Anderson with a black mass. He then continued to hit Cody Rhodes with a black mass as well. And that is correct. Malachi Black, formerly known as Tommy End, formerly known as Aleister Black from WWE, is in All Elite Wrestling. And I'm glad, but scared at the same time, that his first feud will be against the Nightmare Family. And I'll tell you why. I'm glad because I think Cody and Malachi, I was going to say Aleister, Malachi can have a fantastic chemistry in the ring. I think the two of them could put on 20-star matches if given the right time and the right environment. However, I'm scared because I think Cody might be bringing out that golden shovel a bit too soon, hey? Oh, God, I hope he doesn't bring out that golden shovel with these matches, because I'll tell you something, Malachi Black and Cody Rhodes could be a showstopper. It could be one of the greatest matches in AEW history if done properly. And then we got the main event of AEW, and you know what, I'm just going to say it before I even get to any reviews, before I do anything, AEW's main event style or finishing or however you want to put it is starting to feel a lot like Groundhog's Day. It is literally the same thing over and over again. Slightly tweaked, slightly this, but it felt exactly the same. With that being said, though, this was probably one of the best street fights that I've seen in a while. It was the Young Bucks taking on Penta and Kingston for the AEW Championship, Tag Team Championships. It was an opportunity for Kingston and Penta to dethrone the Almighty Heels, the longest reigning AEW Tag Team Champions. And listen, this match was not a classic wrestling, instant classic technical wrestling match. Don't get me wrong, but it was an instant hardcore classic. The power driver through the table that I think it was Matt Jackson that got faced through it with Penta taking him through the table was brutal. A hell of a lot of weapons, a hell of a lot of interferences. At one stage, there was a 450 splash on the referee from Matt Jackson. Took him out. That brought out the Good Brothers. They came out to destroy. Penta took rid of them, got rid of all of them. We also then had Brandon Cutler join in the match to try and help the Young Bucks. But of course, the Elite Hunter, Eddie Kazan, was there. Not Eddie Kazan, Frankie Kazan, rather, was there. The Elite Hunter wiping out Brandon Cutler and taking his first victim, I guess. Kingston then introduced some thumbtacks into the match. And I'm a big fan of thumbtacks thanks to Mr. Cactus Jack. I love thumbtacks, but the thumbtacks in this match was a little bit much. It was a little bit much. So instead of Kingston getting hit with a thumbtack, I think it was Matt Jackson, or it could have been his brother, I can't remember who it was, but they threw the thumbtack straight into Kingston's face. It caused a distraction. Penta then went going flying onto one of the edges of the weapons, which took him out of the match. And then in a gruesome ending, they shoved thumbtacks into Kingston's mouth, super kicked him while he had them in his mouth. And yeah, like I said, not a technical wrestling masterpiece, but hardcore AF. And wow, that was brutal, man. I'm just getting that image of thumbtacks in your mouth and then getting kicked from both sides while they're still in your mouth. Oh, it must have hurt. It must have hurt. There's no way. Oh my gosh. But anyway, we got the ending. The Young Bucks retain their titles. And would you picture that, hey? Getting more heel heat at the end of a match for the Young Bucks. There's literally nothing these guys can do to get even more heat than what they currently have. Their bios in their Twitter have produced so much heat from around the world. Their matches, their endings for all their matches. Listen, I don't think there's a person in this world right now that's going, yay, Young Bucks. They're so hated, and that's fantastic. It is fantastic to watch. Me again, you guys know I'm not a huge fan of tag team wrestling. However, street fights obviously make it slightly different because there's no tagging. But I'm going to say this outright right now. I'm not a fan of the Young Bucks. I think what they do is very over the top and very routine in the sense that they haven't changed anything in the last 10 years or however long they've been going. When you look at tag teams like, for example, the New Day, or take even the Inner Circle on AEW, or Best Friends on AEW, they've adapted and changed their styles as the years have come on. Of course, the Young Bucks haven't. And I guess that's the appeal for the Young Bucks, the sort of why change a working formula. Eddie Kingston and Penta, though, a weird mix together. They prove that they have some chemistry and could possibly have a rematch down the line. But at this point in time, I don't see anybody beating the Young Bucks, or because they are the Young Bucks. And for someone to beat them, there needs to be a credible face. And if you look at AEW's tag team division, although they keep claiming it is the greatest tag team division, it's feeling a little bit weak in that sense. And that brought the end of AEW. The Young Bucks picking up the victory. Great for them. We now move on to what we like to call in this part, the Vaz Scale. It is the Vaz Scale, and for AEW Road Rager on Dynamite, I guess. I don't know what the full name is. We're giving it a 7 out of 10. I think the El Idolo match versus Matt Sindel, the Pinnacle taking on Inner Circle, and the mixed match happened to bring them down just a tad. Not to say that they were bad matches, it just didn't live up to the rest of the card. I think the introduction of Malachi Black, as well as that main event, really helped elevate the show. If you guys haven't done so already, please in the comments leave your comments about what you think of AEW Road Rager. What do you think about me telling you about AEW Road Rager? We always like to hear constructive criticism is always welcome. If you haven't done so already, please click notification and, of course, the bell and subscribe and all that sort of stuff, and give us a thumbs up on YouTube. We really do appreciate it. From me, your mother's favorite podcaster, Vaz, once again, been awesome hosting for you guys. We'll see you guys again soon. From me, though, once again, peace and chicken grease.